Do so, file in. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Ranty McFuckface got some choice words to speak on this subject. Oh, please don't mind me if I get a little bit of fucking fur-faced, because, what I got to says, that'll make your asshole pucker. And Hoosiers. Um, ladies and fuckers, I got a goddamn, I got a pisser pepperoni for you. This particular cocksucker decided to go and says that Second Amendment does not exist here within the continental United States. This isn't even okay. We're going overseas or nothing, or we're going to like Hawaii or Alaska or Puerto Rico or the Marshall Islands. No, this is the so-called heart of the United States, which it ain't. But the real pisser here is that New York City, New York, y'all need some better fucking justice. I'm gonna be serious. Um, Last as I checked, treason whether a fucking hanging offense. Break out the goddamn gallows tree on this, and holy shit. Uh, uh, all right, for those of you who don't know or have not seen it, um, just today I got this from Guns and Gadgets. Over at Jared at Guns and Gadgets. If you ain't seen them, you ain't been part of this, then for reals, get subbed up because this gentleman has all of the information and when it's pertinent and it's important. And you need to see this particular story from him to understand what this fucking rant is all about. And you can come back and understand what the fuck I'm saying and why. Because if you ain't outraged as I is on this particular, son, there's something wrong with you. This crazy bitch straight up fucking said, do not bring the Second Amendment into this courtroom over home built firearms. Personal kept, personal equipment, home built firearms. Because they can't get it on the registry, sort of thing, because they're like, oh, the ghost guns bullshit. Fuck you and your horse shit. It's a goddamn hobby. When you go into business to do this, it's a different story. But when it's, just your fucking hobby in your backyard, you can fuck off kindly. Thank you. This man had designs to go into business, and I'm sure that in the instance that he was going to go into business, he was going to purchase the appropriate licensing and what have you, because, otherwise you get into shit with the taxes. But that being said, the man built a fucking, small fucking arsenal. Oh, trust me, son, I've seen arsenals that would make this shit go fucking cry. And in California, I'm not talking about arsenals out in Texas or in the bumfuckery woods. I'm talking about the heart stains of California. So don't you tell me now that this shit don't affect everybody. Home built firearms for personal use explicitly utilized as evidence to create charges against a man for manufacturing firearms. There's no other anywheres about it. Manufacture of firearms without having, without registering them and licensing them and bullshit. Like, hold up a second, because the last fucking time I checked, the Second Amendment did not have any qualifiers. As a matter of fact, the only qualifier is that you are of the people, meaning that you are an American citizen. That is the only fucking qualifier. You have the preparatory clause, a militia being necessary to the security of a free state. And then you have the qualifying clause, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. This is not up for fucking debate. It does not go anywhere. There is no fucking way around this. It is specific to exact. This is why I had a problem with illegal aliens having guns in the United States. But I do not have a fucking problem with this man building guns in his goddamn backyard. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, this is not secluding you as an American citizen, but rather secluding the government. It has no bearing on you as a human being and as an individual citizen of the United States of America. Except to tell the government what the fuck they may not do. So I'm going to point out something real and serious. The last time I checked, when you violate any of the constitutional amendments, it is a violation of the Constitution itself. And any violation of the Constitution is considered to be constitutional treason under the law of the land. And the last time that I checked, according to that same Constitution, an act of treason was punishable up to and including death by hanging, which was actually worse than death by firing squad back when the particular was written. They wanted to be sure you were dead. So, and by the way, death by firing squad is actually for the whole military treason one. But constitutional treason was punishable by up to death by hanging, which means it was considered worse than military treason. So whoever this cocksucker is that is in fucking the Justice League right now needs to be impeached, removed of position in power, charged with crimes against the United States of America, and brought to trial. Otherwise, there's no fudge sucking thing. If you understand what I'm says about anything having to do with justice in this country whatsoever. And it is proof in writing that we have a two-tiered justice system. Proof in legal documentation. Oh, by the way, if y'all didn't know, I got myself some new chickens. They're sitting out in front of the house right now, quarantining until I can bring them in with the others. And I'm working on finishing up my coop here, so that they've got a full enclosure for themselves. But that's by the by. It's just, totally outside of what we're on about right now. I just wanted to let you know why I got, old Buster Scruggs out there shouting his fool head off. Now, if you didn't know, Buster's about as pissed about this shit as I is. He thinks you should have a firearm as well. And do you know why? Because you can defend him against Ermine. That's why he likes us to have firearms. Well, son, I can't defend my chickens. I can't defend my home. I can't defend my happiness. I can't defend my dog. I can't defend my garden if I don't have the proper tools to do so. I can't make those proper tools if I don't have those proper tools to begin with. You see how this works? There is an evolution of things. And what as I'm seeing here, son, is an evolution of somebody needs to go to prison for a very short time and then to the gallows tree. This is not something you fuck around with. It is dead serious for a reason. Let me put it this way. You can't have an opinion unless you register. You can't have a physical body unless you register. You can't have chickens unless you register. You can't have any kind of hobby unless you register. You can't have anything unless you register it. Do you see how this is working? Because if you haven't noticed, if everything must be registered, then nothing is free. And if nothing is free, then you are not at liberty. If you have no liberty, then you're not in the United States anymore. Because I'll tell you right now, everybody will be at each other's fucking throats if we do not have liberty to pursue our happiness. That is what makes this country. Not just makes this country great, makes this fucking country. That man was trying to pursue his happiness. Now, those of you who are not schooled in the United States Constitution have probably never read the preamble. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, I mean, think about that for a second. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union. That's the beginning of the fucking whole thing. We're trying to build a better place. And we understand that these rights are inalienable, meaning that they can't be taken away. They were never given in the first place. They are yours. They were there when you were born. The chiefest amongst these are the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Three things you can't have without the ability to protect that. which is why literally the second thing they said, other than you have the right to speak the fuck up, you have the right to talk to other people, you have the right to go and have, parties and stuff, and have town halls and talk to each other. You have the right to report on people stupid. Because why? So that others can know. And then you add to this, because in some point in time, somebody's not going to like what you guys to say, so they're going to come and try and stop you. And I fucking guarantee they'll try. You have the right to keep and bear arms in order to defend yourself and those around you. Lo and behold, it creates the ability to have a foundation. Something where you can start from. You cut away the foundation, the house will crumble. Well, all of this philosophy comes about to, in the actual documentation, help us have an understanding that this particular document was created in order to have all Americans, not just some Americans. This is not pertaining to just certain individuals. This is for all Americans. We the people. Not fucking we the government. Not we the Democrats. Not we the presidential administration. Not we Congress. Not we the courts. We the people. We the people can revoke your license in a fucking heartbeat. You violate the United States Constitution, that is your comeuppance. And it will come to you very quickly. The continental United States is actually mentioned in the fucking Constitution. Several times. While it's not directly mentioned in the Second Amendment, New York is one of the originating states. You have no fucking argument whatsoever. If I'm sitting on the Supreme Court, that's my particular take on it. New York was one of the original 13 colonies to sign both the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence. Who the fuck are you to think that you got anything better than that? So let's go ahead and walk through this, shall we? You charge a man for gun ownership. You charge a man for manufacture. He didn't make a profit out of any of these. Did not make them specifically for sales. But actually spent over $10,000 in order to get all of these parts and kits and whatnot and put it all together for himself because he had a hobby. And he actually started this during the COVID epidemic, which, if y'all remember, in 2020, we had an fucking idiot moment. Well, everybody has to stay inside and quarantine and be careful because this disease, which is based off of a fucking cold, is going around, and some people might be, susceptible to it. Well, the whole thing weren't, but even those who were susceptible to it ended up at the end of the day being just fine. Even those with, all secondary and tertiary issues that could create a sense of morbidity. A lot of them were fine. And with every single disease through human history, and I'm speaking on facts here, every single disease throughout human history has in some way, shape, or form taken out those who have the highest morbidity. It is a guarantee it's going to happen at some point. I mean, we all die someday. But I digress. This man came up with a hobby so that he could deal with your fucking outrageous horseshit. And you're going to tax him for that. You're not just tax him. You're going to literally put him in prison for finding a constructive outlet to being cooped up by his own fucking government. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. By God or by thunder, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You call this being an adult? You call this being worthy of the position of justice? Or even advocator at that point? Ought to be slung in a snake pit. You do understand that's how other countries deal with it. That's how other places do that shit. They'll sling you in a fucking snake pit. They'll throw rocks at you until they bury you. We'll just let you swing till your fucking feet stop kicking. At least we got some dignity. But this horse shit got to end. If your local prosecutor has not placed charges against this woman in fucking Supreme Court, you don't have a federal prosecutor. If the Attorney General does not place specific federal charges against this woman, you do not have an Attorney General. Plain and simple. I mean, I can get on to some other stuff. But my choice words today, specifically on this particular subject, my choice words are Declaration of Independence, United States Constitutional Code of Conduct, treason, indictment, impeachment, and imprisonment, and execution. If you didn't know, Cha-Cha, in particular, but anybody who's kept along this long and watching it after the fact and don't realize who I'm talking about Justice of the Northern District of New York, Darkham. I can't believe that's actually her name. And it's something that she changed her name to. Whatever. Justice Darkham has committed treason against the United States of America. Outright. Look up the case. Go to Guns and Gadgets and check out his video on this. Mine's just ranting and raving. Do so. Go check out Guns and Gadgets about his newest installment on somebody decided that they was going to be stupid. These charges were brought against an individual who, like I said, was simply practicing as a hobbyist. And when you're a hobbyist, you don't do things for profit. Because if you did it for profit, it would be outrageously expensive. So, things like that. On top of that, you probably couldn't make a profit because of the licensing and insurance and all that other crap involved with it. That's why you do it as a hobby. So, from what I'm seeing here, they're trying to drive all firearms manufacturing into the hobbyist market and then delete it completely. And I mean that. If you haven't noticed, this new case out of New York is literally just manufacturing of firearms, possession of firearms, and possession of an 80% pre-mill, possession of parts, manufacturing of firearms. And I think there was like some sort of an intent to redistribute, but there's no anything about, whether or not he violated any particular law, because specifically when it doesn't necessarily mean that because you have intent to redistribute, you're not intending to not do so legally. So this is all on supposition. They're not even throwing him under the bus on shit that they could legally, criminally charge him with. It's all supposition and inference. Because he has not yet sold one firearm to date. And this is after he was charged, to the point where he's now got to pay for court fees and shit like that. So, after all of this, on supposition alone, we're talking the height of treason in the United States of America, of constitutional treason at that. The height of treason in the United States of America. That these charges were even allowed to continue. That these charges were not dismissed or literally thrown out of the court on the grounds that they are unconstitutional and a violation of this country's history and tradition, according to the Bruin decision, which is a Supreme Court decision. So now we're going to bring this up before the Supreme Court. This particular case is going to go there. Guaranteed. And I hope, against hope, that this particular court justice, and I do that in air quotes, with all angst and distaste for the particular individual, how they wish to govern themselves. You need a chance to meet with God and talk to him about your particular transgressions. And because of what you did, we can arrange the meeting. Through course of law. You do realize that even as a justice of the peace, you are not above the fucking law. Nobody in this country is, supposedly. And like as I says, if it's not for the fact that this particular individual is brought up on charges, you have a two-tiered justice system. You have a AG and a federal prosecutor that will not have a set of nuts, which means you don't have a federal prosecutor and you don't have an AG. So, you know my views on it. And thank you all for coming by. You have. For the rest of y'all, go and check out Guns and Gadgets. Sub them up if you haven't. And on the flip side of this, definitely check out his video on. And I'm doing a hard time. I'm really not doing well on, plugging my buddy here, because the situation of it is that I am so fucking twisted irate that it's hard for me to focus on this shit. I can remember the justice name, which is weird. I never can remember. I normally can remember who's all in the case and whatnot. I can't even focus on nothing but that person because of what she did. And that's why I'm like, I need to not. But I'm ranting and raving about it because this is what this is. This is exactly what this person has done. And here's the over under of it, as it were. This is not insurrectionist in any way, shape, or form. This is actually specifically speaking on the way that this country is supposed to be run, and we know it's supposed to be run. Unfortunately, our own government can't get their heads out of their asses long enough to be able to figure that out. Any Hoosiers, yes. Case is a 2A case out of New York City, New York Northern District, not even New York City, New York Northern District. Individual purchasing firearms parts manufacturing for hobbyist ideals with intent in the future specific to resale firearms at a later date. I mean, dude's learning gunsmithing. What the fuck, over? See, this is starting to make me think that places like SDI. This is why I haven't gone there yet, personally. Go get a certification in it. But this is what makes me think that places like SDI have this. If you're not doing all this other licensing and crap while you're doing the online courses, they turn around and they report you to the ATF or some shit. It kind of makes me wonder. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's if you're going to SDI and you're telling them that this is for a business, instead of being as a hobbyist. Okay, then I could understand why they might take a tack like that, but you're still kind of stretching it, Halls. Shoot yourself in the foot as far as it were, because you're going to run people off real fast. There goes your business. You might get one asshole off the streets, but in the long run, you shoot your credibility all to shit. And that's why I haven't done SDI. I haven't done any of the other gunsmithing stuff. Going to any of the other gunsmithing um, schools, because even though you're supposed to have 3 years of school and about 7 years of apprenticeship under a smithy before you can get into the 11-year smithery before you become a master smith. I mean, don't believe me, I did actually learn this shit, but I digress. With all of that involved, to become a master gunsmith, to be able to turn around and actually build guns for a profit, versus I'm doing this as a hobby and maybe one day I might be able to get good enough to do this and get my mastery and then turn around and buy all the licensing and do all of that at once, because now I can actually justify this shit. We're jumping the gun, we're putting the cart before the horse, and you're fucking screwing everybody and yourself. Because, like as I says, that is an act of treason. The justice of the peace allowing it, the prosecutor bringing the charges, and not folding on those charges the moment that this justice said this. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for not having integrity. Like I said, my choice words now include integrity. That's the next on this. So those of you who have watched us long and decidedly, seen it all or what have you, we've been at this about 37 minutes. I'm gonna cut this off about here. You go ahead and you let me know all of the choice words throughout this particular video down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about this later. Cause I done fucking had my limit. Ranty McFuckface out.